like to, our final panel is named Challenges for Investment in Legal Tax. And for that, I would like to invite to this stage to moderate this panel, Professor Newton Campos, who is a teacher at FGV Business School, director and lead researcher at CEPE, which is the Private Equity and Venture Capital Research Center at FGV, and also, more important, not less important, the director of IE's office in Brazil. So let's hear from him. You're welcome. And as for the panelists, we like to call Marques, who is a professor at FGV Law and partner of Felsberg. And Mr. Rodrigo Menezes, who is partner of Ontier and Rodrigo Menezes Advogados.
Hello, good night, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. I'm very happy to be here, and we will have a conversation, very interesting conversation now. Very brief, but interesting, I'm sure, with Rodrigo and Evie about investing in startups and tech startups, and mainly in legal tech startups. So I prepared some questions here, but I would like to, I don't know, maybe to start with Evie, I would like to also let you know we might take about 25 minutes in this panel before we know the results. But I would like to open up also the panelists for asking themselves, because I think it might be fun. First, I will start with Evie, asking, you also invest, right, in startups? I mean, besides participating in this ecosystem, you also invest. Can you tell us a bit about, how you've been investing, very, very briefly, just for us to know your involvement with the investment part?
Hello, everyone. Good night. I'm actually very excited to be here and to see so many people, talking about legal tax. Yeah, I've been working in the legal tech ecosystem for a while. 3 years ago, I was doing like a pro bono work for the Association of Legal Tech that was created here in Brazil. And because of that, I started, knowing more and more the companies that were joining the association. And I mean, when you see what they are doing or trying to do, somehow I said I need to understand, what is going on in the market.
You lived abroad as well, right?
Yeah.
You lived abroad?
I lived abroad, but that was 10 years ago in the UK, and they were discussing at that time innovation for law firms. I worked in a very innovative law firm at that time, and I met at that time Richard Susskind, a scholar that's very well known in the sector. So when I came back to Brazil, that was 2012, I was kind of excited and thinking that we're going to see something here. But I mean, it took us 4 years, 2016, for me to hear for the first time the word legal engineer in Brazil,
When was that?
2016.
16.
Yeah. And
do you remember the first time you ever heard about legal technology or legal engineering or something like that? Do you remember?
It was in 2012, but in Silicon Valley. It was not
But
here.
in Brazil, like somebody
Brazil,
working here?
I never heard. The first time that I'm hearing is because Ev is just telling me now.
Okay. And so you've been investing. Can you just tell us?
Yeah, and then, when I started...
In legal tech startups?
Yeah, I started investing in all kinds.
Yeah.
But then, for me, it was kind of natural to try to,
You're really a lawyer,
legal.
Evie. I mean, you're an investor. And
Yeah,
you should be
not an investor.
working. I mean, you're an investor.
I've been learning, actually. I'm an M&A lawyer.
Do you have any write-off? Do you have any write-off?
Not yet.
No? Are you sure?
Maybe. Of course, I'm counting on professional, let's say, investors, other investors to really review, and I'm doing the work together and kind of learning. So I cannot say I'm an investor. You guys are I mean,
You are
by
the Ron
far much
Conway.
more.
You are the Ron Conway of the legal tech industry in Brazil.
Rodrigo, you've been involved with this industry of innovation, technology, startups since a long time, and you also had, was tempted to invest, and you've been investing also. So besides being a lawyer, you're also an investor, curiously. And what is your experience in terms of the kinds of technology that you've been investing? Are there any legal related investment that you consider doing, and what happened in those cases?
I invested in 9 companies as an angel investor.
9?
In 9. None of these companies are legal techs or law techs. And none of them, if I'm trying to remember, even the ones that I write off to investments. None of them, I mean, even if we pivot something, it will do something regarding to legal tech or to the law tech world. So I don't see that. I don't see this happening, at least. And my perspective is that I don't even like the name legal tech.
Why?
I don't like legal things. If it's legal, I mean, it's lawyer. I hate lawyers.
Okay.
So we have lawyers here, and it's
So yeah, you should be investing
hate
in legal
lawyers.
text.
I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I love few lawyers. But
Well, you have a lot of lawyers in your team. Oh,
yeah, no, I love the lawyers of my law firm. So I love them. Julio, I love you, man. I mean, I see that. You see, he's on his cell phone. You see, like he's not paying attention to what I'm saying. So he works for my law firm. So he doesn't like a liar anymore. So he's a lawyer that doesn't like lawyers. Good. Shame on me. Shame on me now.
But
Evie,
could
continue,
you-
please. No, Evie. Evie's the star of this panel. Evie, it's all on you.
Started
No,
how
I
many
mean-
legal tech?
I invested just in one legal
Okay,
tech,
okay,
but
okay.
I've been, looking
Yeah.
all the time.
Can you
It's
have an
pretty
idea?
much because, it's my profession, it's the future of my profession. I'm a partner in a law firm, and I really think that they should be trying more. They are not, because I know it's difficult for law firms to be in Brazil, involved. Abroad, law firms, they are creating incubators, accelerators, VC vehicles. They are doing that.
Like corporate venture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
The big ones,
The big ones, the big law
medium
firms.
size.
No, the
also?
big ones.
The big ones.
The big ones
first,
they are doing, yeah. But it's related to the economics of the business. Big law firms, they can do that.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
partnerships here, they're a bit stuck. It's harder.
Yeah.
But I wish we had something like this.
Could you,
here
and
in
more than that, I
Brazil.
mean, in the U.S. or
You know,
the UAK,
in
they are companies. They're not law firms. I mean, they can invest directly as a
Yes, they
as a
can
law
invest
firm.
directly.
In Brazil, we cannot do that because
Yeah.
we are considered like a different kind of animal. I don't know why they call us. That's why I hate lawyers. I mean, why we are different animals? We should be like everyone
But
else.
exactly, that's why we need to be, investing and helping them to deregulate the market. And
You
then,
see,
we're
Evie's
going to have
the star of
companies.
the panel. See,
We're
like,
going to
that's
have
why-
companies here, law firms as a companies, and then we're going to think, as any other
But do you
company.
see that as
That's
a
right.
possibility for the future?
I definitely think
Yeah.
this is going to happen
Yeah.
here in Brazil as well.
Okay. We see.
There's no way of
Although I'm very much involved in venture capital, but and especially research in venture capital, I'm not so much into legal tech. But I've seen
Why
some
you're
numbers.
not too much in legal? Yes? No, answer
that's
this
a good question.
Why not? I
That's
mean,
a good
you're
question
here,
for
the
us.
Mediana panel of legal tech. Why you're not interested in legal tech?
It's not that I'm not interested. I'm passionate about education tech, ed tech. But I like all the other techs as well, and I research all the others.
It's more
It's
or
true.
less,
It's
you
true.
know.
But the legal is too far for me. And but
You
of
hate
course-
lawyers?
No, not at all. I have a sister-in-law that she's a lawyer, which is a funny name, right? Sister-in-law. And I love
I'll
her.
make more 2 questions for you, but it's okay. You're the mediator, so.
But anyway, I've seen some numbers here that I got really impressed in terms of the number of law firms in Brazil and the number of lawyers in Brazil. So my question for you is, we've seen we're seeing these technologies arrive, and probably this will have a big impact in the market, in a market with so many lawyers, right? And how do you foresee those impacts to come? And of course, that will impact eventually the amount of people willing to invest on that. Do you see that coming like maybe slowly or more aggressive in the next years? How you that have been following up on this see this evolution?
I think it's gonna be a bit slow here in Brazil.
Okay.
It really depends on regulation and deregulation, and especially international law firms being able to practice here in Brazil. That would make a difference. But I think there will be an impact. And that's why, FGV, Fundação Getúlio Vargas, is involved, because our students, they need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
They're going to see much more than us. So you can hate lawyers. I can, help law firms to become companies, but they are going to be the future, and they're going to be living this. So it's important for students to be aware, especially like junior associates.
But when you say slow, what?
I don't
Can
know.
you
like-
describe?
Slow like
I
20
mean,
years.
No, not 20 years. I mean, the first time
20
I
years.
heard that was 2010, 2016, the first time I hear here in Brazil.
Yeah.
So maybe in 5 more years, you're going to see like a move, something
I
that is going to be, Evie is not crazy,
I see.
because 5 years ago, I was kind of crazy to my partners.
yeah.
They used to say Evie and the robots. But now,
Just
now
for-
they kind of ask me for advice.
Now you're cool, right? Now you're
I'm
cool.
In 5 years, I'm gonna be, the
Normal.
one. Yeah. Normal.
Just for you to know, I like the crazy part of Evie, okay? So I prefer the crazy part.
Okay. What do you think that this? I've been seeing that pretty much the technologies that are involved in legal tech are pretty much related to documents a lot and OCR, right? And of course, machine learning applied to the database that is generated. Do you see any other kind of technology that might be, that join this? I mean, this
Let
movement?
me say one thing, because it's related to your question, is that a legal tech that is a great legal tech cannot be called a legal tech. Now, speaking seriously, because, the opportunity is not on the legal world. The opportunity is not on the legal side. I like it what Evie said about, so it will be slow, but I don't agree with her that it will be in 5 years. I think that really will be in 15 years, because maybe some big law firms will adopt in 5 years, like 5, 6, or maybe our law firms, because we are in the frontier of this world, will adopt to that. But this represents what? Less than 1% of the law industry in Brazil. So I don't see this happening in 5 years. Once again, it's my perspective on that. So the legal tech that is being born in Brazil, it will not going to survive working for the legal world. So even if you are on the document side, okay, but I won't be working not only for the law firms, but I'll be working for the legal departments, and maybe some legal departments of companies, they are more favorable because there is one guy there that is more Evie, more Rodrigo. So maybe, but it's still, so you have to make a business that will be on its feet, not only on the legal industry, but on other industries. So you're doing, I know a company called Semantics. That is a company that was invested by Bradesco in Nova Bra, and now there was a follow-on round that recently happened. Great guys, and what they're doing, and they did not start as thinking on the legal world, and then a year and a half ago, I was talking to the founder, and he saw an opportunity that really would kill like most of the legal techs that were born 3 years ago, or they're still being born because of what this guy is doing in big data. So
I see.
it's not a legal text. That's why I'm
not a legal
challenging.
thing. Yeah,
That's why I'm challenging. The audience. To think, and especially the founders of legal text, because I saw, and this is for you. I saw very good pitches here. It surprised me. I have to say that. So, and founders that were prepared, at least at the pitch, were prepared to say the proper and the right things. So I challenge to the legal tax to not be legal tax. So legal is just another industry that can be good, pay the bills, even give a lot of profit, but it's just one pot.
I see. Thank you. Interesting. We are approaching the end. They are waiting for the announcement of the final winner that will go to Madrid. And I don't know, like a final message that you could share with the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, I just want to
Yeah, okay,
interact with
okay.
Rodrigo. No, I agree with you, but
With the 15 years? No.
no, not the 15. No, 5 years is for us to start, really seeing that in our law firm and legal
Okay.
departments, but
Bigger
not really,
firms,
revolution.
not
No,
popular-
it's going to take, no,
in a
it's not
popular way.
everybody, especially because B2C business is not allowed by
Okay.
our regulator. So while we do have, we don't have deregulation, we're not going to see that for everybody,
I see.
and access of justice to everybody. But I my main question for the audience and for thinking on investments is exit. When we think about as a VC investor, we always think about who is going to buy this company later on, and this is a big question mark for me. And maybe those companies that could be somehow involved in the legal tech, but they are focusing on not other ones. They could be interested by entering the market, purchasing legal techs, because it is specific. You do need lawyers. It's hard to sell. It's a long sales cycle. So maybe it could be an exit for those companies. So maybe you should continue focusing on legal, but thinking on how you're gonna be obtaining investment. It's not easy abroad. It's not easy here in Brazil, and thinking for whom you're gonna sell the company later on, if that's your main goal.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. Any message, final message?
I will agree with Evie now. And just one thing is that I remember, think about TOTUS, okay? So TOTUS is a software company that acquired, I think, 2 legal ERP softwares. And so they created the TOTUS, the legal TOTUS. And I agree with that. So but these will also limitate what you can do as a tech startup. So as a legal, so it will limitate. So you always see a limit. You always see like a cap. Okay, this barrier, and you always be anxious to be acquired by this guy, not TOTUS. I mean, but the guy that by semantics, let's put it this way, that will become a unicorn in 5 years. Let's say that. So it will always be like the smaller part. You will always be one vertical. So if you want to think, like, since we are in the startup thing, you want to do big. Do not be only legal.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for following our conversation here, and let's pass to the final part of the event. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for this wonderful panel.